guys, so today we are going to be talking about the foot and lower leg. So we're going to start with the tibia and fibula. Okay, so similar to our radius and our ulna and our forearm, the tibia and fibula in our lower leg are attached by an interosseous membrane. So that's that web-like connective tissue that holds the two bones together. Okay, so our tibia is the larger of the two bones. So tibia here, fibula. So fibula is a lot skinnier and a lot smaller. Your tibia is actually very, very dense. The tibia is what gets the majority of our body weight transmitted down from the femur. The fibula is actually a non-weight bearing bone, and it doesn't touch our femur at all. Now the reason it's important is because a lot of muscles and we have a ligament that originates and inserts on the head of our fibula. Okay, so these are going to articulate at the top and at the bottom. So right here I have a left tibia and a left fibula. So they're going to connect just like this. There we go. And you can see the fibula actually comes down a lot farther distally than the tibia. So this part, the distal part, is what we can feel on the outside of our ankle bone. So that one that you sometimes run into things, that is actually your fibula. And then the bony part on the inside of your ankle, that is your tibia. Okay, so some important things on our tibia are medial and lateral condyles. So we had condyles and epicondyles in our femur. We have them on our tibia as well. So medial condyle, lateral condyle. Okay, tibial tuberosity is this guy right here on the front. So that's the one when we talk about our like patellar tendonitis, where I had you feel right in the front on your shin bone, just distal to your kneecap. That is your tibial tuberosity. So that kind of bump that sticks out. Remember, a tuberosity is a projection. And on this case, it's exactly where your quadriceps tendon inserts. Okay, so medial malleolus, this is a left. So that middle ankle bone that we see, or that little bump that sticks out. Okay, and then on our fibula, there's only two landmarks that are really important here that you're going to need to know. The one is the head of your fibula. So here we have the head, and then down here we have the lateral malleolus. So this tip, right here, lateral malleolus. So this is going to sit together kind of just like this. Okay, and that's what forms our ankle joint distally, this part right here. Medially, up here, oh goodness, it's going to sit behind the tibia a little bit, and you can actually feel the head of your fibula. If you feel the outside part, if you slide down basically from your lateral condyle, you'll feel this guy down here. So he's just below your knee joint that sticks out pretty far, and that's going to be the head of your fibula. So here, if we look, zoom in, we can see how the head, this is an anterior view, and we can tell the one on the left because that's where your tibial tuberosity is. Okay, so here, it doesn't show it, but they're held together by ligaments. So the head articulating with the lateral condyle. If we flip it over and we look posteriorly, you can see the head of the fibula here and how it articulates with that lateral condyle. Now, distally, we can see if we're looking posteriorly, this would be your medial ankle bone. This is a right, by the way. So medial ankle bone, and that's that lateral knob that sticks out, the lateral malleolus on our fibula. Okay, so if we're looking at it anteriorly, this is a right leg looking at it from the front. So medial malleolus here, lateral malleolus. Okay, and then we can see this interosseous membrane that connects the two of those. So fun fact, the reason that high ankle sprains take so much longer to heal and are more devastating than a traditional ankle sprain is because what actually happens is these two bones separate distally. So you'll learn about your talus in a second. Let me see if my pen works. So the talus of your foot sits like this right here. Oh, we got our talar bone. Okay, so whenever a high ankle sprain occurs, this talus jams straight up. So basically the foot comes back like this towards the shin bone and actually separates these two bones. So it's going to separate the ligaments here, and then depending on how bad it is, it's going to separate the interosseous membrane as well. So when that occurs, so grade 1 ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain would be if just this ligament is torn. If it goes any farther up into the interosseous membrane, that actually has to be fixed. So essentially what they'll do is they'll put a plate here, and they'll put a plate here, and then they'll put like these, they call them like buttons, with a rope to bring them back together and hold it. And that'll stay in forever. It's no big deal to have that kind of hardware in there. But that's why a high ankle sprain, if you are a fantasy football player, is looking more like a 6 to 8 week absence as opposed to a regular ankle sprain, or what we call a lateral ankle sprain, is, you know, anywhere from a week to 3 weeks. So again, if we're looking at an anterior view here, we can see the tibial tuberosity. So do not be surprised if you are asked on your lab practical, is this an anterior view or a posterior view? And one way we can tell if it's an anterior view of a tibia is because of this tibial tuberosity. If you look at the posterior, there's nothing here, right? It's just flat. So one thing that we do see, this will not be on your lab practical, but just for your own reference, so a bimalleolar fracture, bi meaning two malleoli, is a break in the distal ends of both the tibia and the fibula. And this is actually really, really common in sports. So we have a little photo. Oh, did not show it? Dang it, I must have taken it out. So that's basically when, let me articulate my tibia and fibula together. So it's when you break both of these malleoli. So fracture comes straight across. So you're breaking off the lateral malleolus as well as the medial malleolus. Okay. So moving on to our foot. Our foot basically mimics our hand in that it has tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. So remember, in our hand we had carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. So tarsal is going to refer to our foot. So we have our tarsal bones, we have our metatarsal bones, and then we have our phalanges, or our toes. Okay? So 7 tarsal bones are going to form the posterior half, so the closest part of your ankle. So right now we're looking down on a left foot here. So big toe side, meaning it's a left foot if we were to sit him down, okay? So our body weight is primarily carried by 2 bones in our foot, which is going to be our talus, the bone here, and our calcaneus. So if we're looking at it from a lateral view, this is your pinky toe side. We can see the calcaneus is quite large. So that's what we call our heel bone. The actual term for it is calcaneus. Okay, so the talus is going to sit right on top of that, and that's going to be what bears the weight from our ankle. So I can't hold both of them at the same time, but you can see exactly how the tibia is going to fit right here on the top of the talus. So again, a high ankle sprain is when it gets pushed up and externally rotated, because right over here is where we would have that distal fibula. So push up, externally rotated, causing a high ankle sprain. But you can see if all of the weight, if our fibula isn't a weight-bearing bone, but the tibia is, all of the weight is coming straight down onto this talus here. So if you've ever, participated in any kind of an activity, whether it's a sport or something where you're jumping a lot, and then the next day your ankles are super, super sore in the front, that's because you put all of this weight and shock on the talar bone, and that can actually be pretty painful. Okay, so we have some other tarsal bones. So we have a cuboid, a navicular, a medial, an intermediate, and a lateral cuneiform. Okay, so it's a cuboid, a navicular, and 3 cuneiform. So if we're looking straight down on this, the next bone off of our talus is going to be our navicular. So this is a very large bone in the front here, and you can see it actually helps to form our medial arch. When people say you either have like a flat arch or you have a really high arch, a lot of that is dependent on how far this talus dips down whenever you bear weight on it. Okay. So talus here, and then we have our 3 cuneiforms just distal to that, and they're going to line up with our first, second, and third metatarsals. So these ones are actually pretty easy. They're a medial, intermediate, or a lateral, or a 1, 2, and 3 is how a lot of people call them for time's sake. So the medial is going to be the one that's closest to our big toe side, right? Because if this is someone's left foot and they're standing on it, this is going to be closest to the medial side of the body, whereas the pinky toe is going to be the most lateral. So we've got our medial, our intermediate, and our lateral cuneiform. So those ones actually kind of come in like a, we can see they form a really cute little trio right here, and they look like they fit together pretty much. So medial, intermediate, and lateral cuneiform. And then finally on the most lateral side here is where we have our cuboid. So this bone is going to slide. You can actually feel yours if you slide right off your pinky toe side. So if you go just past this styloid process on your 5th metatarsal, you can find this cuboid bone right here. So the navicular and the cuboid are the larger of the 2 bones, but the navicular is going to be the most medial and the cuboid is going to be the most lateral. And then we've got our 3 cuneiforms here. Okay. And then we have 5 metatarsals, just like we have 5 metacarpals. So remember we talked about the pollicis. So the pollex is the name for our thumb. It has its own specific name. So the hallux, Hallux, is our big toe. So our big toe has its own special name too. So this is going to be metatarsal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So your pinky toe side is your 5th metatarsal. Now, just like our finger, our big toe only has 2 phalanges, so it doesn't have a middle or an intermediate phalange. We only have a proximal and a distal, whereas the rest of our toes, we've got a proximal, a medial, and a distal phalange, okay? So 5 proximal, 4 middle, and 5 distal phalanges. So it's basically just a mirror image of your hand. Okay. So again, if we are looking at, oh no, come back. Okay, so now I have jumped up and switched my camera around so I can show you what we're actually looking at on the skeleton model. So bear with me here. This is a little strange to be doing both at the same time. So here we've got our left leg. Here we've got a right leg. And we know this because we are looking at the skeleton straight on, oh, he looks so sad, in anatomical position. So for you guys, this is the left leg, right leg, over, let's see, where's my hand? There we go. Right leg, right here, because we always go by the patient. Okay. So looking down here at our left leg, we can see tibial tuberosity. One easy way to tell that you're looking at an anterior view of a tibia. So we've got medial condyle, lateral condyle. We've got the head of our fibula. Whoop, there we go, right here. And then if we follow these 2 down distally, you can see lateral malleolus, so part of the fibula, and then medial malleolus as part of the tibia. Now I'm going to pick this foot up, put him on my lap. Nope, I'm not. Okay. So the other thing that we can see from right here is our talus. So how the weight gets transmitted straight down from the tibia onto the talus. So talus here, sliding medially, we've got our navicular, we've got our medial cuneiform, intermediate, lateral cuneiform, and then if we slide over here, maybe. My apologies, guys. So laterally, we've got our calcaneus here, and we've got our cuboid. So remember, we're going to be able to find this right off of our 5th metatarsal, so cuboid bone here. Looking at the foot, we've got our big toe, our hallux, our 1st metatarsal, 2nd metatarsal, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then remember, our big toe only has a proximal and a distal phalange, whereas his toes are all curled up. Whereas the rest of our toes, we've got a proximal, a medial, whoop, there we go, proximal, medial, and distal. Okay. So looking at a right leg, same thing. You can see medial epicondyle, condyle, tibial tuberosity, lateral epicondyle, head of the fibula. Slide down. We've got medial malleolus here, lateral malleolus here, talus, calcaneus in the back here, navicular, medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, lateral cuneiform, and our cuboid. Metatarsals 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and phalanges proximal and distal, proximal, intermediate, or medial, and distal as well. Okay. So, I know that was a lot going on. Hopefully that helped. We will have time to practice in the lab when we come back on Thursday and again on Monday. As always, guys, if you have any questions on anything that we've covered today or anything that we've been over, always please feel free to stop in during my office hours and to email me as well. See you guys soon.